welcome to yet another edition of Time Pass. I have with me Pavan K Varma, who's been a diplomat, he's a scholar, he's a writer. He wrote the definitive book on the Indian middle class, which remains my all time favorite. No one quite wrote anything like that ever, not even India's best sociologist. And of course, he briefly strayed into the world of politics, but
I still am. I still am in politics.
I hope you will quickly recover from that, because it's a it would be a tremendous loss. Any time that keeps you away from the world of books is a loss to all of us.
Thank you.
So welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you with us. And today we're talking about your latest book, The Greatest Ode to Lord Ram, Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas, Selections and Commentaries, which has just been published by Westland. And I have to tell you, it is such a moving book, and your commentary is so moving. Above all, the thing that one takes away from the book is the love story of Lord Ram and Sita. And there's a bit here where you say that Tulsidas did so much to humanize the divine, and you have done even more to humanize their relationship. So just walk us through that. It seems like the greatest love story ever told, really.
You know, uh, Sita is part Sita ji is part of the Hindu religious structure.
Right.
You have to understand the complexity of Hindu religion as linked to Hindu civilization.
Right.
And Sita ji's character as, first of all, a lady with a mind of her own in her own right.
Yeah.
Then, in conventional terms, a devoted wife. And then a sacrificing wife who plays a key role in the epic of the Ramayana.
Right.
Her abduction by Ravan, which then leads to the war and so on and so forth. So, if there is in Indian civilization and religion, when I talk of this Indian, I mean Hindu.
Right.
For every Radha, there has to be a Sita.
Right.
For every Krishna, there has to be a Ram.
Right.
If Krishna is Leela Purushottam, the mischievous God, the playful God, the God who steals butter, the God who's precociously adolescent, the God who flirts with the gopis, the God who plays the flute, the God who has a divine mistress in the form of Radha,
Right.
who's a goddess herself.
Yeah.
On the other hand, then you have Sita,
Yeah.
Sita ji, and the relationship between Sri Ram and Sita ji is one of the most lovable aspects of the Ramcharitmanas as narrated by Tulsidas.
Right.
In fact, the first time they meet in the bower,
Yeah.
and then in the garden,
Yeah.
and Tulsidas says, at the time of their wedding, the Jaimal, when the bride puts the garland around the bridegroom, he says, Sakina madhya siya sohati kaise, chabi gana madhya maha chabi jaise. In a moving group of beautiful paintings, she is the principal painting.
Yeah.
Or at another point, he says, talking about Sita, and from the eyes of Ram, Sundarta kahu sundar kare, chabi grah deep shikha janu bare. That is, she even makes the beautiful more beautiful.
Right.
Like a hall of paintings suddenly illuminated by the lighting of a lamp.
Right.
Now, this kind of imagery that Tulsidas uses in his description of Sita ji from the eyes of Ram and their love story is a fascinating aspect of the epic of Ramayana in the eyes of Tulsidas. And Ram is very human in his love for Sita.
Right.
In fact, when they are in exile and Sita has been abducted by Ravan, and he and Lakshman are alone in the jungles, and the crowds come in and it's raining, and Ram is bereft. He expresses his anguish, his agony at being separated from his beloved.
That is a lovely passage, in fact, when he expresses that sentiment. One has not seen that or read much of that.
He says,
Yeah,
Ghan Gamanda Ghana
exactly.
Garajat Gora Priya bin Man Darpat Mora.
Right.
Without her, even me, and he's God. You see,
Yeah,
the ability of the Hindu mind. I'm not speaking of it in a sectarian way,
right.
but the Hindu mind as part of a great Hindu civilization where religion plays an important role. You have to see divinity always at three levels. One
Right.
is the human,
Yeah,
because Ram in his love for Sita is human.
right.
The other is as the manifestation of divinity.
Right.
That is a God with attributes, what is called in Hindu philosophy as saguna, with
Right.
attributes. And
Right.
the third level is where that same divinity is actually beyond attributes, attributeless. That is not sagun, but nirguna.
Good. Yeah.
So Ram is nirgun, Ram is sagun, and
Right.
Ram is human. And
Right.
so you're seeing Ramji at three levels.
And at the same time, it's very interesting. You talk about how Lakshmi is seen as below Sita at one point as well. So the divine can also be below the human. I mean, it's so
No, because
complex.
that particular passage which I have chosen,
Yeah.
Ram, Sri Ram is in agony at the fact that his beloved is not with him, and his
Right.
mind keeps going to her.
Right.
And the poetic genius of Tulsidas is
Yeah.
that in describing Sita, he then compares her to the other goddesses.
Yeah.
As you know, Hindu, I don't want to use the word mythology,
Yeah.
because the dividing line between religion and mythology is always very thin.
Yes.
What is Hindu religion? Again, just like you have Krishna and Ram and Vishnu and Shiva and Brahm and other gods as part
Right.
of the pantheon, but essentially united by the one unity which is called Brahm.
Right.
Brahm as in the all-pervasive, attributeless cosmic consciousness.
Right.
This is the Advaita philosophy.
Right.
Similarly, we have many goddesses,
Right.
including Saraswati,
Yeah.
Lakshmi,
Lakshmi.
Shri,
Yeah.
Uma, Parvati, Gauri, Kali. And now Tulsidas is comparing Sita with the other goddesses.
Yeah.
And from the eyes of Ram are saying,
Right.
no, there is something missing in even in them or in her or in her.
Yeah.
But Sita ji is perfect. That's
Right.
the emotion he's trying to bring out.
Right. And it's so lovely. Why did you choose Tulsidas's Ramayana? As we all know, there are 300 versions, and you could have chosen any of them.
You see,
So
I have
talk
a
a
point.
little about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a point, Kaveri. There is an attempt uh, to deconstruct Hinduism
Right.
by pointing to the many traditions within Hinduism.
Right.
So, for instance, A.K. Ramanujan,
Right.
in a very well
Yeah.
discussed column article, said there are many Ramayana.
Yeah.
And there's the Valmiki Ramayana written in the 5th century
Right.
CE.
Yeah.
And then you have Tulsidas, of course, in the 16th century. There's Kamban's Ramayana in the
Kamban, yeah.
south. And there are many more regional, localized versions of Ramayana. Now, this is not to say that the Hindu religious tradition is fragmented.
Right.
This is actually the evidence that the Hindu religion allowed for great diversity.
Right.
And I'm sometimes a little annoyed with those, and I'm sorry I'm taking names, like Wendy Doniger or Amartya Sen or frankly A.K. Ramanujan, for whom I have otherwise great respect,
Right.
trying to fragmentize Hinduism by
Right.
pointing to its many traditions. And it's quite ironical that liberals try to devalue Hinduism on account of the diversity that it
Diversity.
enables.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of seeing that Hinduism allows this plurality
Right.
as part of one unified tradition. These are not many traditions.
Right.
These are versions of that one
The
tradition.
same tradition.
But unlike the Abrahamic faiths, there is not only one book. We
Right.
allow that diversity.
Right. And we
So
celebrate it.
we celebrate it. So therefore, uh, Ramcharitmanas was my choice because apart from being a narrative of this the story of Ramayana as taken from Valmiki's Ramayana,
Right.
it is an exceptional literary text.
Right.
It's 12,000 lines. Uh, uh, Consists of such great literary uh, effervescence that it is even if it was not related to religion or to belief or to faith, it would be one of the finest books available as yet in epic form as a literary genre.
Right.
Apart from that, people don't realize the extent to which Tulsidas is grappling with concepts of philosophy throughout
Right.
the Ramcharitmanas. This is
Right.
not the mere telling of a story.
Yeah.
You see, the great dialectic in Hinduism is between Nirgun and Sagun.
Sagun. Yeah.
And Tulsidas in the 16th century was now part of a much energized Vaishnav tradition of bhakti. As you know, Shankaracharya, the great Adi
Right.
Shankaracharya in the 8th century elaborated upon and asserted the only real empirical and metaphysical reality, which is Brahm, the
Right.
all-pervading, attributeless cosmic consciousness.
Cosmic consciousness. Yeah.
Then Ramanuja came after him
Right.
and called his Shankaracharya's Advait Vishisht Advait,
Right.
where he allowed for that attributeless cosmic consciousness to have a form and not remain as dry and inaccessible as Nirgun, Brahm,
Right.
and
Right.
to make it Sagun, to
Right.
give it attributes so that that devotee has something to worship,
Worship.
to go to identify Godhood with.
Right.
So this dialectic of Hinduism is a constant river flowing through the epics, through the evolution of Hinduism, through the evolution of Hindu civilization. And what is Tulsidas's main philosophical dialectic in the Ramcharitmanas?
Right.
It is to say that yes, that reality of Brahm is valid.
Right.
And yet Ram is Sagun. He is available to his devotee.
Devotees.
Like he says, Aguna Saguna, Doi, Brahma Swarupa. The attributeless and the attributeful are two aspects of that same cosmic consciousness.
Right.
Akatha Agat Anadi Anupa.
Right.
Or he gives another example.
Yeah.
Phule Kamal. Soh sar kaisa, nirgun brahma sagun bane jaisa. He says a lotus blooming in the still waters of the lake looks so beautiful.
Right.
Just like the unmanifested nirgun becomes the sagun,
right.
Ram. So between the nirgun and the sagun, that same dialectic continues. Now what is Tulsidas's purpose?
Right.
The purpose in making Ram Sagun, that is accessible to his devotees, is to reiterate his principal philosophy, which is bhakti,
right.
prapatti, surrender to that person. So he says, for instance, Agun alak, arup ajjoy.
Right.
Agun without gunas, that is attributeless.
Right.
Aguna arup without form. Alak ajjoy, unborn. Bhagati prema bas sagan hojoy.
Right.
Because of the devotion of the bhakt,
right.
becomes manifested. And that is the dialectic which Tulsidas takes right through the Ramcharitmanas. So people don't understand, apart from being a great literary work.
Yeah.
Apart from being written in Avadhi,
yeah.
once again democratized religion.
religion.
This
Yeah.
was happening over a period of time, you are familiar
Yeah.
with Chandidas,
Yeah.
Bihari,
Yeah.
they took the lore of Radha and Krishna to the people by writing in their own language,
Right.
Surdas.
Right.
And similarly, for Ram, Tulsidas does that
Right.
by writing in Awadhi.
Right.
And that becomes accessible to people.
Yeah.
And thirdly, if you ask me why Ramcharitmanas, apart from the philosophy, apart from the sheer magnificence of its literary value,
Yeah.
there are great nuggets of wisdom in it.
Right.
Wisdom which actually people in ordinary people quote in everyday life all the time, especially in North India, where it is
Right.
almost like a Bible.
Right.
So these nuggets of wisdom come along the epic,
Hmm.
and they are remarkable.
Yeah.
Nahi kau as janma jag mahi prabhuta pai jahi mad nahi. No one yet has been born on this earth who, when power comes, is not filled with pride. Now, this is in passing.
Yeah.
And so true about our life. And
Absolutely.
similarly, there are so many others. I mean, I can quote many examples of these nuggets of wisdom
Yeah.
which he uses. Preeti birodh samana samakariya. Preeti, love
Right.
or enmity.
Yeah.
Do it with people of your own level.
Own
Preeti
level.
birodh samana samakariya. Asi ai, niti asi ahi. This is how the niti has come.
Right.
Jo mragpati bad menduki. If the king of the forest was to kill a frog, to kaho kya kahi. So
Right.
he's saying that there should be equality in terms of friendship and enmity.
And enmity. How beautifully put,
Yeah. So this is the genius of Tulsidas.
Right. And I also wanted to bring in the concept of good versus evil. You don't have that. You have Ravan, who's a great god. I mean, who's a great king. He just happens to have some flaws. So you don't have that dichotomy of good versus evil. No
You
one
see,
is, yeah,
you see the thing about again Hindu
yeah,
philosophy, even the sheer intellectual nuance of Hindu civilization
yeah,
is that it desists, again, unlike the Abrahamic religion,
yeah, exactly.
from absolutes in behavior.
Yeah,
For instance, if you were to take a parallel epic like the Mahabharata,
yeah,
when Yudhishthir finally reaches heaven
yes,
after disillusioned at the end of the battle with so many dead,
yeah,
and then he and the other four Pandu brothers, along with Draupadi, are now moving towards the Himalayas on their ascent to heaven.
yeah,
The four brothers and Draupadi die, and Yudhishthir is left alone
with the
with a
dog.
stray dog.
Yeah,
And they both enter heaven.
right.
And he's surprised to find Duryodhan,
Huh.
who in conventional terms is the villain of the Mahabharata,
Mahabharat.
luxuriating in heaven. And his brothers and Draupadi are in hell.
Yeah,
When Duryodhan dies, the heavens rain down flowers.
right.
So there's no absolute sense. And even if you see Ravana,
Yeah,
he is, see, again, this is a complexity of Hindu philosophy,
yeah,
that everybody has to be seen at two levels.
yeah,
One, for what they are doing,
yeah,
and the second is that they are doing this as part of a cosmic leela, a
yeah,
play where they themselves are playing a preordained
part.
in the unfolding
Right.
of a narrative. So Ram, of course, knows that he's God,
Yeah,
but he goes through the entire charade of building an army
right,
with Hanumanji and
right,
others, attacking Ravan,
right.
knowing who Ravan is, and
Yes,
Ravan is acting a role as well.
yeah,
So there are no absolute goods or absolute evils.
yeah,
In fact, more than in the Ramayana, in the Mahabharata,
Mahabharata.
the
Yeah.
question of dharma, what is
Yes.
right and what is wrong,
Wrong.
comes up on many, many parts. And
Absolutely.
finally, you may have very familiar, I wrote a book on it called Yudhishthir and
Yes.
Draupadi, the
Yeah.
famous Yaksha Prashna,
Right.
where the Yaksha asks Yudhishthir, what is dharma? And Yudhishthir says, dharma is sukshma, it is subtle.
Right.
Who has defined it? Finally, the Mahabharata says, dharma is hidden in a cave.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I'm saying is that Hinduism, uh, at the level of intellectual nuance,
Yeah.
allows allows for this uh, slight reticence to go into absolutes.
Yeah. The other thing that interested me about Ramcharitmanas is that while we all talk about Maryada Purushottam Ram, the ideal man in a way, he also talks about the ideal citizen. I found that quite fascinating because that is the kind of expectation that say the state has of citizens now. That you have to be an ideal citizen. For instance, during the lockdown, let's just talk about an example like that. That we have to be disciplined, we have to be frugal, we have to be, we have to observe all the sort of the complexities of behavior which are now being prescribed. So that concept of ideal citizen is quite fascinating. You want to talk a little about that?
Well, it's not surprising
Right.
because if you look at the evolution during the predominantly Hindu period of our history,
Yeah.
from roughly 3000 BCE
Yeah.
to about 1000 CE, after the Common Era.
Yeah.
Now, in these 4000 years, you will notice that there has been a profound degree of application of mind
Hmm.
on the nature of the polity.
Right.
At one level, there were the republics, like the
Right.
Lichavi Republic.
Right.
Uh, there are several, but I'm just mentioning to you the most well known.
Right.
Were actually democratic assemblies in which each citizen's voice counted in the making of decisions.
Right.
But even if you were to read an otherwise
Right.
cynical text, as people normally believe, Kautilya's Arthashastra,
Shastra.
Chanakya's Arthashastra,
Yeah.
you will see that a great deal is devoted to the role of the king,
Right.
what that role should be,
Right.
and his need to consult the citizens,
Right.
or to have his decisions backed by the largest majority of his citizens.
Right.
Similarly, in the Mahabharata, there is a section called the Shanti Parv,
Right.
where there is the dying Bhishma on a bed of arrows speaks about kingship and polity and governance and administration,
Right.
where again the role of the citizen becomes very important.
Right.
In fact, in the Ramayana itself, there are occasions when, for instance, when Bharat decides whether to accept the commands of Ram
Right.
or to go and meet him to persuade him to come back,
Right.
he consults not only the leading uh, uh, officials of the court, but the people at large. It is
Right.
the citizen who accompanies him.
Right.
So I think that in the theoretical evolution of the politics,
Yeah.
the citizen mattered in the times when the Ramayana was first written,
Right.
or when the Mahabharata was written,
Right.
or a little later when Chanakya wrote the Arthashastra.
Right.
And I think that is reflected even in the Ramcharitmanas.
The other thing that struck me was, of course, the Hanuman. I mean, how important he is to this relationship, to Ramayan. and just the beauty and generosity of this god, and also explains why he's so hugely popular, isn't it?
Because Hanumanji, if I were to say to you, very often people sometimes cursorily will call him monkey god.
Monkey god.
But he's not a monkey god.
Yeah.
Could be a monkey,
Yeah.
but the hyphenation of monkey god is a little derogatory
Yeah.
to the profile and substance of Hanumanji.
Right.
You see, Hanumanji ultimately stands for the ultimate yardstick of bhakti, of
Right.
devotion.
Right.
But he's much more than that.
Yeah.
And even today, when people pray to him, first of all, he stands for bhakti.
Yeah.
He stands for tremendous strength. And from that strength is derived strength not only of physical nature, but of character.
Character. Yes.
So he carries an entire mountain.
Yeah.
He has the strength to do it.
Yeah.
He is the embodiment of wisdom.
Right.
Students who go to exams often either pray to Ganeshji
Or to Hanuman.
or to Hanuman. He's a musician.
Yeah.
So Hanumanji has a multi-layered character.
Yeah.
And again, you will find in Hinduism that the remarkable reflexive schizophrenia of the Hindu devotee.
Yeah.
Where at one level it's a monkey, as sometimes the Westerners will say monkey god.
Monkey god.
But
Yeah.
the Hindu, while worshipping this god who has the form of a monkey,
Yeah.
is seeing that worship of an entirely different entity.
Right.
Which is full of these attributes.
Right.
Bhakti, wisdom,
right.
strength. And similarly with Ganeshji, you will find.
Right.
Ganeshji, a human body with
Yeah.
a different head. I mean, it may seem bizarre to someone who not aware
Yeah.
of the way Hindus look at deities.
Right.
But actually, Ganeshji stands for everything auspicious.
Yeah.
He stands for wisdom.
Hmm.
He's a great writer.
Hmm.
And so Hanumanji's character in the Ramayana is a very lovable one.
Hmm.
And he carries this bhakti till the very end.
Right.
Ram, after his Abhishek, after he returns from defeating Ravan, returns to Ayodhya, and he offers him whatever he wants.
Hmm.
He says, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I am happiest at your feet.
Right. It's so moving. When you were translating it, didn't you get goosebumps?
No, actually, we have grown up with the Ramcharitmanas.
Right.
It's unfortunate, I will say this even for myself,
Yeah.
that our educational curriculum
I agree.
does not value, whether in the form of the philosophical aspects or in forms of literature.
Right.
Some of these texts.
Yeah.
I mean, no student in the West would not read the Iliad or the
Odyssey. It's part of their tradition.
But our epics, if you say to a normal reflex secularist that you are taking time off to write on the Ramayana, ask you if you have become saffron.
Exactly. That's the first.
Which is crazy because this is a great part of our civilizational heritage. So without making it into a religiously contentious issue, we should not completely prevent the young as they are growing up to be at least aware of the remarkable nature of these epics.
Yes.
And therefore, I have grown up because, for instance, on a very personal note, my mother, who spoke the Queen's English and had gone to a convent, also knew Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas, almost the entire epic by heart.
Wow.
And in large parts of northern India, the Ramcharitmanas is quoted because it's so beautiful.
It's part of your
Just see the cadence of any line. Shri Ram Chandra Kripalu Bhaj Man Haran Bhav Bhay Darunam Nav Kanjalo Chan Kanja Mukh Kar Kanja Pad Kanjarunam. How do you compose like this?
You can just go on listening to it forever.
There is a great literary value. And so when I was, for instance, in our house, in a marriage, when the bride with the garland approaches the bridegroom,
right,
we have for decades now, we sing the lines from Tulsidas
right,
as Sita approaches, as
right,
I quoted in the beginning.
right,
Sakna madhya siya so hati kaise,
right,
chabi gana madhya maha chabi jaise.
right,
And the way Tulsidas describes the son, I mean, look at this young bride.
yeah,
There has been no love affair.
right,
They have just exchanged glances.
yeah,
And she's coming to him now with this garland
yeah,
at the time of the wedding.
right,
And Tulsidas writes, Tana sakochu, man param ucha, good prem lakhi pare nakau. Her body is withdrawing.
withdrawing, yeah,
Tana sakochu,
right,
man parama uchahu. Even as her mind pole vaults to the possibility of being married to this person she
yeah,
admires and loves. So the manner in which it is written, it touches the pulse of the people,
right,
the chord, because it is so culturally rooted.
yeah.
This is the reason why I was not unfamiliar totally with the lines, but it was certainly a rediscovery.
How close is the television Ramayana, since of course it's now being aired again? How close is it to Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas?
It is close in the narrative of a epic story.
Right.
Perhaps there are parts of the philosophical template that accompanies the epic, especially the Ramayana, but also the Mahabharata,
Right.
which naturally in the depiction of an epic as part of a television serial is explored.
Right.
Because each one of them has a philosophy to say. Even Lakshman,
Yeah.
is in talking to the Nishad, the boatmen, before
Yeah.
they cross the river and go into exile.
Right.
That Lakshman who is portrayed as hot-tempered, who's always there,
Yeah.
quick to anger.
Exactly.
And Lakshman in the Ramcharitmanas spouts such sublime philosophical wisdom. He tells the Nishad who is commiserating,
Yeah.
who's commiserating with the plight of these royal brothers
Yeah.
sleeping on the ground.
Right.
And he would expect Lakshman to be angry,
Yeah.
at the injustice meted out to Ram and to him
Yeah.
as a consequence. And Lakshman instead tells him, Ka na koi sukh dukh karat, sukh dukh ka data.
Right.
Nobody gives sukh or dukh to anyone.
Yeah.
Nij krit karam bhogi sab bhrata. Oh
Absolutely.
brother, it is the consequences of your karma that each of us now carry the burden of.
So profound.
It's a completely philosophical tone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes in a serial, there is not enough time to tarry
Right.
over these remarkable philosophical intricacies.
Right.
But otherwise, it's an enjoyable serial.
And the other thing that, of course, a lot of people have written about is the whole Maryada Purushottam, the depiction, the visualization, how it went from, quite a non-physical kind of Ram to a warrior-like, a more aggressive Ram with the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. Do you think that was a very conscious attempt, and was it quite different from the way Ram was seen in all the many versions?
You see, you have to understand
Yeah.
that Ram stood against injustice.
Yeah.
He took up arms against what is considered to be unethical.
Right.
To that extent, Ram was at one level philosophically detached.
Right.
At another level, he could resort to action to
Right.
correct injustice.
Right.
The epic portrays him
Right.
when he goes to fight against Ravan,
Right.
who has abducted his wife.
Right.
So it is one thing to fight against injustice.
Right.
It is quite another to do so in a manner where you militarize Sri Ram into a vengeful god
Yes.
who attacks the weak and the vulnerable,
Yeah.
even the innocent sometimes,
Yes.
in a irrational fury.
Yeah.
Because Ram was always equipoised,
Right.
even in anger
Yeah.
against injustice. He was always a man of santulan, of balance.
Balance.
And he believed, he tells his brother Bharat,
Yeah.
par hit saris dharam nahi bhai, par peeda sam nahi athmai. Par hit, there is no greater religion, dharam, than the welfare of another,
Right.
and no greater sin than injury to another.
Yeah.
When Ram is born,
Yeah.
then Tulsidas, in describing him, it says, Bhai Pragata Kripala, the
Right.
merciful, Deen Dayala,
Yeah.
the friend of the
The
weak.
weak. Yes.
So, this is the first line Tulsidas utters when
Right.
Ram is born.
Yeah.
Bhai Pragata Kripala,
Right.
Deen Dayala,
Right.
Kausalya Hitkari.
Right.
And then he calls him in the same stanza, Karuna Sukh Sagar,
Right.
Sab Guna Agar.
Right.
He is the ocean of compassion.
Exactly.
He is a Jan Anuragi. The next line of that stanza calls him Jan Anuragi.
Right.
That is the beloved of the people.
Right.
What is the description in Ram Rajya?
Yeah.
Tulsidas
Yeah.
says Ram Rajya is a place where Devik, Dehik, Bhautik, Vyapa,
Right.
दैविक दैहिक भौतिक तापा
Yeah.
काहु न कोई व्यापा. It does, these don't. सब नर करहि परस्पर प्रीति. In Ram Rajya, each nar has a mutual affection for another.
Another.
सब नर करहि परस्पर प्रीति.
Right.
That is the definition of Ram Rajya.
Right.
So, at one level, Ram is a god who takes action against injustice. But even in so doing, he respects his rival,
Right.
like he did with Ravan.
Absolutely.
He's not the lynching god.
Yeah.
He's
Yes.
not the vengeful god.
Exactly.
He's not the irrationally angry god. In fact, he, even to those whom he vanquishes, he gives deliverance.
Yeah. And that is a tragedy that we've come to.
I think that some people, being misguided, seek to appropriate Ram for their own partisan purposes, which can happen in any religion. But I think their knowledge of Ram, of Sri Ram, and of what Maryada Purushottam means, it does not mean a passive God who will take lying down injustice.
Yeah.
But it does connote a God who will fight against injustice, even against injustice with Maryada, with correct behavior.
Yeah.
He will not take the law into his own hands.
Right. But what was it like to collaborate with him, Pavan?
You see, Manishankar Dwivedi is a young friend,
Right.
but also one of the remarkably erudite
Yeah.
Sanskrit scholars I have met.
Right.
And not only Sanskrit, exceptionally steeped in some of the remarkable wisdoms of Indian civilization, and in particular Hindu philosophy, metaphysics,
Right.
and legend and lore. And even when I was writing Adi Shankaracharya,
Right.
Hinduism's greatest thinker, my
Yeah.
previous book,
Yeah. Your previous book.
he assisted me in putting together the annotated anthology, which is at the end of the
Right.
book, the anthology of Shankaracharya's writings.
Yeah.
And for Ramcharitmanas also, he assisted me in making selections. We
Right.
sometimes did not agree
Huh.
always on the same text.
Huh.
And sometimes I would defer to him,
Huh.
and sometimes I would say, no, I need to put this in full.
Right.
It's a very constructive conversation where he is perhaps far more knowledgeable than I am, even a student of Sanskrit from Banaras Hindu University. And there are scholars like this whose real worth is not recognized in our
Yeah.
country
Yeah.
because they don't speak good English for it.
Yeah.
It is such an unfortunate, unfair criteria.
Right.
They are really knowledgeable.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Manishankar, I have great respect for.
And I think my last question, Pavan, is really about the whole, the way our epics unfold. It's always through dialogue, it's always through conversation. And that's one art that we're sadly losing.
Yes, I
Why
call
is
it.
that?
No, I call it the art of Sabhya Samvad,
Yeah,
civilized discourse.
absolutely.
And
You've been a party to, sorry to interrupt, to so many asabhya discourses on television. I
well,
don't know how you keep your smile on
yeah,
your
I
face.
am a part of them, and I try to be transcendent by not becoming one of them. I
Yeah,
wait for my turn when I speak,
yes.
as far as possible. But this is a very old tradition.
Yeah,
The Upanishads, to sit nearby and have a conversation.
yeah,
Upanishad is a dialogue
right.
between a guru and his disciples.
Exactly.
The Bhagavad Gita, there are three foundational texts of Hinduism:
Yeah,
Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutra.
right.
And each of them, in a sense, is a dialogue where you allow another point of view.
You.
The
Yeah,
Upanishad is an actual dialogue. The
right.
Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Arjun and Bhagwan
Shri
Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah,
And in the Brahma Sutra, before coming to what he believes is right or wrong,
yeah,
he always admit the views of the so-called opponent, of
right,
the ideological opponent.
right,
So it becomes a dialogue through this process.
right.
And that has been a tradition. In fact, Adi Shankaracharya, as late as the 8th century, established the Advait school across India
Right,
by a series of dialogues which were called Shastrarth,
right,
the ability to sit across each other and have a discourse.
right,
Shastrarth,
right.
the famous Shastrarth he had
Yeah,
in a very civilized way
yeah,
with Mandan Mishra.
right,
Mandan Mishra believed in the Karmakant school,
right,
which is perform the Vedic rituals as prescribed, and that in itself is a path to moksha.
right,
Adi Shankaracharya was a believer in the Gyan Marg,
right,
knowledge rather than merely Karmakant.
right.
But he didn't go and kill Mandan Mishra.
Exactly.
He went and sat with him.
Yeah,
In fact, Mandan Mishra was initially annoyed by Shankara has come.
uh,
He placated him.
yeah,
Then both of them sat down to have a dialogue.
yeah,
Who was the referee in this dialogue?
yeah,
Mandan Mishra's wife.
Yeah, that's right.
Shankaracharya agreed to it.
Yeah, yeah.
He believed that she would be impartial, even though
Right.
she was one of the wife of one of the protagonists.
Right.
So that was the civilized tradition
Yeah,
of Hinduism.
yeah. And it's a tragedy that we have come to a point where it's not always celebrated in the right way for the right reasons.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so that the place for civilized dialogue is shrinking.
yeah,
But the real tragedy is that that is against the essential foundational tenets of our civilization.
exactly. Thank you so very much, Pavan. It was such a pleasure. And as I say, your entry into politics is a loss to us. So please come back
I
quickly.
do both. Kaveri, I wrote while I still am, but when I was part of a political party,
Yeah.
I wrote Chanakya's view, I wrote Adi Shankaracharya, Hinduism's greatest thinker, and so on and so forth. So I will continue to do both.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure and always so inspiring to listen
Oh,
to
the
you.
pleasure was mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All the very best. Bye.
Please like our social media handles and subscribe to our channel by clicking on the bell icon.